Samantha woke up early that morning with a lingering sense of unease she couldn't shake. Caleb, her husband, was no longer by her side as he usually was. She rose from the bed slowly, the weight of worry pressing heavily on her chest. The house was eerily quiet, a silence that had grown familiar over the last few months. Caleb's late-night absences had become more frequent, and his excuses about staying late at work had started to feel increasingly hollow. As Samantha prepared breakfast, her mind was occupied with the conversation she had planned to have with him. They had been saving for an apartment in Willow Ridge, a place they hoped would become their forever home. Samantha wanted to ensure the property would be registered in both their names. They had both contributed equally, and it was only fair that the ownership reflected that. Caleb entered the kitchen with a serious expression, avoiding her eyes as he sat at the table. Samantha's heart sank, but she took a deep breath, summoning her courage. "Caleb, we need to talk," she said, trying to keep her voice calm and steady. Caleb paused, staring into the cup of coffee she had placed in front of him, as if hoping it could shield him from the conversation. "About what?" he asked without looking up. "The apartment," Samantha replied, her voice firm. "I think it should be registered in both of our names." Caleb finally looked up, his irritation barely concealed. "I don't see why we should complicate things, Sam. We're a family. Everything belongs to both of us anyway." A surge of frustration bubbled within Samantha, but alongside it came a newfound determination. She had been quiet for too long. "That's exactly why, Caleb," she replied, her tone steady but resolute. "We've both contributed financially. It's only fair that it's in both of our names." Caleb frowned, clearly annoyed by her persistence. He wasn't used to Samantha challenging him like this. "Traditionally, the husband is the one who owns the home," he said, his voice taking on a dismissive tone. "There's no need to complicate things further." Samantha took another deep breath, refusing to let his outdated perspective control her. "We're not living in the past, Caleb. It's the modern era. If it really doesn't matter, then there's no reason not to put it in both our names. Unless, of course, there's something else you're hiding." Her words caught Caleb off guard. His irritation shifted to surprise, and for a brief moment, he seemed unsure of how to respond. "The additional costs of registering it in both our names aren't worth it," he finally said, grasping for an excuse. Samantha met his gaze directly, feeling the weight of this moment. "We can make adjustments elsewhere," she said firmly. "For instance, cutting back on your beer purchases might be a good start." Caleb opened his mouth to retort, but found himself speechless. He was not accustomed to this side of Samantha, the confident woman who refused to back down. The shift unsettled him deeply. "I don't understand why you're suddenly acting like this," he said finally, his voice softer but tinged with frustration. "I'm tired of being treated like my voice doesn't matter in our decisions," Samantha replied, her tone unwavering. "It's time for things to change, Caleb." He stared at her, a mix of confusion and anger flashing across his face. He seemed ready to argue, but ultimately mumbled something about discussing it later, before leaving the kitchen abruptly. That night, as Samantha prepared for bed, she reflected on their conversation. She knew this was just the beginning of a long and difficult journey, but she felt a newfound sense of hope and resolve. For the first time in years, she had taken a stand for herself, and with it came a quiet sense of liberation. As she lay down, Samantha felt an unexpected calm wash over her. She had taken the first step toward asserting her independence and equality in her marriage. The discovery of her inner strength gave Samantha the courage to face whatever challenges lay ahead. She knew the road would be difficult, but she was ready to walk it. Caleb, however, spent the night tossing and turning, troubled by the events of their argument. Meanwhile, Samantha dreamed of a future where her voice was valued and respected. The battle for that future was just beginning, but she felt ready to fight for what she deserved. The next morning, Samantha woke up still feeling the weight of the previous night's confrontation. She knew she couldn't navigate this alone and decided to reach out to someone she trusted. That person was Grace, her closest friend and a constant source of wisdom and encouragement. After a few messages back and forth, they agreed to meet at a cozy cafe in Willow Ridge. As Samantha approached the cafe, her stomach fluttered with nerves. How could she explain everything that was happening in her life? She spotted Grace seated at a table in the corner, a warm smile spreading across her face as Samantha entered. "Samantha," Grace exclaimed, standing to give her a hug. "It's so good to see you. You look like you've got something heavy on your mind. What's going on?" Samantha sighed deeply as she took a seat, the tension in her shoulders easing slightly just by being in Grace's comforting presence. "There's so much to tell," she admitted, taking a small sip of her coffee. "Caleb and I have been having problems. Last night, we had a huge argument about the apartment." Grace listened attentively as Samantha recounted the events of the night before, not interrupting as Samantha poured out her thoughts and emotions. When Samantha finally finished, Grace leaned forward, her voice steady and full of conviction. "Samantha, what you're doing is important," Grace said firmly. "You can't keep letting Caleb control everything. You have every right to be treated as an equal in this relationship." Samantha nodded, feeling a wave of gratitude for her friend's words. "I know you're right," she said softly, "but it's so hard to stand up to him. Caleb has always been so dominant, and I've always been too afraid to push back." Grace reached across the table, taking Samantha's hand in hers. "You have to be strong, Sam. You need to remember your worth. Don't let anyone, not even Caleb, make you feel small. You deserve a voice in every decision that affects your life. It's time to stop being treated like an afterthought." Grace's words struck a chord deep within Samantha. She had spent too long letting Caleb make all the decisions, but now she felt the stirring of a new resolve. "You're right," Samantha said, determination lacing her voice. "I can't keep living like this. I need to make some changes. I can't let Caleb manipulate me anymore." Grace smiled, her expression warm and encouraging. "Exactly. And remember, you're not alone in this. I'm here for you every step of the way." The two spent the rest of the afternoon talking about lighter topics, enjoying each other's company and the mutual support that had always defined their friendship. For the first time in a long while, Samantha felt hopeful. That evening, when Samantha returned home, she found Caleb sitting in the living room, the TV murmuring softly in the background. The tension between them was palpable, but Samantha's newfound confidence steadied her. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice calm but firm. Caleb looked up, his expression a mix of surprise and reluctance. "Sure," he said, turning off the television. Samantha sat beside him, her heart racing as she prepared to speak. "I've been thinking a lot about our conversation last night," she began, "and I want you to know that this isn't something I can just let go. We need to work on this together and come to an agreement that respects both of us." Caleb sat silently for a moment, then nodded slowly. "I understand, Sam. But it's not easy for me. I've always thought things were supposed to be different." Samantha met his gaze, her eyes filled with both compassion and determination. "Things have changed, Caleb, and it's time we change with them. I'm willing to work through this with you, but it has to be as equals. No more one-sided decisions. We have to respect each other if we want to move forward." Though Caleb didn't respond right away, Samantha could see the wheels turning in his mind. For the first time, she felt like he was truly hearing her. She knew the road ahead would still be fraught with challenges, but this was an important step. That night, Samantha lay in bed feeling a flicker of hope. For so long, she had felt trapped, but now she could see the beginnings of a path forward. With Grace's unwavering support and her own determination, Samantha was ready to face whatever came next. The next morning, Samantha woke up with the same uneasiness in her chest. Despite their conversation, Caleb's habits remained unchanged. His frequent absences continued, and the emotional distance between them seemed to widen. Determined to uncover the truth, Samantha began observing Caleb's behavior more closely. One morning, while going through their bank statements, something unusual caught her attention. There were repeated transactions to someone named Rebecca. A cold shiver ran down her spine. Samantha knew she needed to gather more information before confronting Caleb, so she decided to trace the money trail. The next few days passed in a haze. Samantha couldn't think of anything else as her suspicions grew. Finally, after reviewing the statements again and again, she decided she'd had enough. She needed answers, and she needed them now. That evening, Caleb returned home later than usual. Samantha was waiting for him in the living room, the bank statements and transaction records laid out on the coffee table. Caleb entered and froze, his eyes darting from the papers to Samantha's steely gaze. "What is all this, Samantha?" Caleb asked, trying to keep his composure. Samantha didn't flinch. Her voice was steady, though anger and sadness churned beneath the surface. "Explain these transactions to me, Caleb. Who is Rebecca?" Caleb blinked, clearly caught off guard. He hesitated before mumbling, "She's just a friend." "It's not what you think." The words only fueled Samantha's anger. "A friend?" she said, her voice rising. "A friend you've been sending money to? A friend you've been disappearing to see every night?" Caleb opened his mouth to respond, but no words came out. Samantha pressed on, her frustration boiling over. "I'm tired of your lies, Caleb. I want the truth. Are you cheating on me?" Caleb exhaled heavily, closed his eyes, and then looked at her with a mix of defiance and resignation. "Yes," he admitted finally. "Rebecca is someone I've been seeing. I'm tired of this, Samantha. I'm tired of us." His confession hit her like a punch to the gut, shattering her hopes and confirming her worst fears. Tears welled in Samantha's eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She wouldn't show weakness. Not now. "How could you, Caleb?" she asked, her voice trembling but firm. "After everything we've been through? After everything I've sacrificed for this marriage?" Caleb didn't meet her eyes. He stared at the floor, his face blank and detached. "This isn't working, Samantha. I want you to leave the apartment. I'm starting over with Rebecca." Samantha had prepared herself for this moment and stood her ground. "I'm not going anywhere, Caleb," she said, her tone icy and resolute. "This apartment is as much mine as it is yours. You can't just throw me out." Caleb finally looked up, his face twisting in frustration and anger. "And what are you going to do? Fight me for every inch of it?" "If I have to, yes," Samantha said, her determination shining in her eyes. "I won't let you manipulate me anymore, Caleb. I won't let you destroy what we've built just because you've decided to chase after some new distraction." The confrontation ended with Caleb storming out of the room, slamming the door behind him. Samantha was left alone with her thoughts. She sank onto the sofa, her emotions a chaotic blend of relief and pain. Though her heart ached, Samantha felt a small sense of triumph. She had stood her ground and refused to be cast aside. The road ahead would be far from easy, but for the first time, she felt ready to take control of her own life. That night, as she lay alone in her bed, Samantha's mind raced with thoughts of what to do next. She knew the journey ahead would be fraught with challenges, but with Grace's unwavering support and her own determination, she was ready to fight for what was right. As the sun rose the next day, Samantha awoke with a newfound clarity. There was still much to tackle, but she refused to let her circumstances defeat her. She was prepared to fight for her dignity, her home, and, most importantly, herself. The days following the confrontation were tense and cold. Samantha and Caleb barely spoke, and when they did, their conversations were sharp and laced with resentment. The oppressive silence in the apartment only confirmed what Samantha already knew. This couldn't go on. Yet she wasn't about to give in. One afternoon, as Samantha was preparing dinner, Caleb entered the kitchen with an expression that suggested he had made up his mind about something. "Samantha, we need to talk," he said, his tone leaving no room for argument. Samantha turned to face him, her heart pounding. "About what?" Caleb took a deep breath before answering. "About us. About what's going to happen now." Samantha set the knife she was holding down and crossed her arms, bracing herself for the worst. "I'm listening." "We can't keep doing this," Caleb began, his voice tight with tension. "I've made a decision. I want you to move out of the apartment." The words hit Samantha like a slap, but she stood firm. "I've already told you, Caleb. I'm not leaving. This apartment is as much mine as it is yours." Caleb scowled, clearly frustrated. "You can't stay here, Samantha. It's not healthy for either of us. I've been seeing Rebecca, and I want to move forward with her." A surge of anger and sadness welled up inside Samantha, but so did her resolve. "So you just want to toss me aside like I'm nothing?" she demanded, her voice trembling with indignation. "I'm not going to let that happen, Caleb. You can't just throw me out of my own home." Caleb's frustration boiled over. "Then what do you suggest, Samantha?" "We can't keep living together like this." Samantha held his gaze, her eyes hard with determination. "If you're so eager to be with Rebecca, you can leave. Move in with her. I'm not going anywhere. Caleb blinked, surprised by her suggestion, as if he hadn't considered the possibility. And what about the apartment? He asked, trying to maintain his stance of authority. We can sell it, Samantha said, her voice cool. We'll split the proceeds and go our separate ways. Caleb mulled over the idea for a moment, then gave a reluctant nod. Fine, but don't think for a second I'm going to make this easy for you. Samantha met his glare with icy resolve. I never expected you to. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of emotions and logistical challenges. Samantha threw herself into arranging the details of the apartment sale while trying to maintain some sense of normalcy. Caleb, meanwhile, spent more and more time away from the apartment, likely with Rebecca. One afternoon, as Samantha was organizing some paperwork in the living room, her phone buzzed with a call from her real estate agent. Samantha, I have some good news, the agent said cheerfully. We found a buyer for Caleb's half of the apartment. Really? Samantha replied, feeling a mix of relief and curiosity. Who is it? It's someone named Nathan, the agent said. He mentioned that he knows you. He said you were classmates in high school. Samantha's heart skipped a beat. Nathan had been a close friend during her teenage years, someone who had always been kind and supportive. The idea of him re-entering her life as a buyer brought an unexpected sense of hope. Thank you for letting me know, Samantha said, her voice steady despite the flurry of emotions swirling inside her. I'll wait for more details. That night, as she sat in her room, Samantha reflected on the situation. While the challenges of separating from Caleb loomed large, the thought of Nathan's involvement brought a flicker of light to an otherwise dark chapter of her life. Maybe, just maybe, things were starting to turn in her favor. As the days passed and the sale progressed smoothly, Samantha felt lighter. Although Caleb's betrayal still lingered in her heart, the idea of starting anew gave her purpose. One morning, while reviewing the final details with her real estate agent, her phone rang. Samantha, it's Nathan. Could we meet to talk about the apartment? Nathan's voice carried a warmth that Samantha hadn't heard in a long time. Hearing it brought back memories of her high school days, and for a moment she felt a nostalgic pull toward the boy she had once known. Of course, she replied without hesitation. They agreed to meet at a cozy cafe in Rosewood that same afternoon. As Samantha entered the cafe, she immediately spotted Nathan sitting by the window. His welcoming smile made her feel at ease. Samantha, Nathan said, standing to greet her with a friendly hug. It's been so long. It's great to see you again. Likewise, Nathan, and thank you for considering the apartment purchase, she replied with a small smile. I never imagined life would reconnect us like this. Nathan chuckled. I've always loved this neighborhood, and when I learned you were involved, it felt like the right decision. It's a small world, isn't it? The two sat down and began discussing the transaction details, but as the conversation flowed, they found themselves reminiscing about old times, their school years, and mutual friends. Nathan shared stories about his career and his decision to return to Rosewood after years of traveling, while Samantha talked about her recent struggles, though she avoided delving too deeply into her past with Caleb. It seems like we've both faced our share of challenges, Nathan said empathetically, but I'm really glad to see you moving forward. It hasn't been easy, Samantha admitted, but I'm determined to start fresh and rebuild. Their connection felt genuine, and by the time they parted, Samantha couldn't help but feel a renewed sense of optimism. In the weeks that followed, the sale was finalized, and Nathan moved into the apartment. To Samantha's surprise, he offered her the chance to stay in the half that had belonged to Caleb until she could find a new place of her own. Grateful for his generosity, she accepted. With Nathan's support, Samantha began rebuilding her life in earnest. She realized that leaving behind her old life wasn't enough. She needed to rediscover her sense of purpose. Enrolling in a business administration program, she decided to resume the studies she had abandoned years earlier to support Caleb's ambitions. Each day brought new challenges, but also new opportunities. Mornings were spent attending classes, while afternoons were devoted to pursuing personal projects she had put on hold. Nathan, now her neighbor across the hall, became a steady source of encouragement. Whether it was with a kind word or a freshly brewed cup of coffee, He always seemed to know when Samantha needed a boost. One evening, after an especially exhausting day, there was a knock at her door. Samantha opened it to find Nathan standing there with a bottle of wine in hand. "Care for a break?" he asked with an easy smile. Samantha laughed, grateful for the gesture. "That sounds like exactly what I need." They spent the evening talking and laughing like old friends, the kind of companionship Samantha hadn't realized she'd missed. As the night wore on, she found herself reflecting on how much her life had changed in such a short time. Nathan wasn't just a support system. He was filling the void that Caleb had left behind, and doing so with kindness and understanding. "Thank you for everything, Nathan," Samantha said softly, feeling a swell of gratitude. "I don't know how I would have handled all this without you." Nathan smiled warmly. "You've been through so much, Samantha, but you've handled it all with incredible strength. I'm just glad I can be here for you." In that moment, Samantha realized she wasn't just rebuilding her life. She was beginning to find joy in it again. "I'll always be here for you, Samantha," Nathan said, his voice filled with warmth. "You're an incredible person, and you deserve all the happiness in the world." His sincerity touched Samantha deeply, and she found herself smiling in a way she hadn't in a long time. That night, Samantha went to bed feeling a rare sense of peace. For the first time in what felt like forever, she believed she could overcome anything. With the sale of the apartment completed and Nathan's steady presence in her life, Samantha felt stronger than ever. She was ready to embrace the future, knowing that happiness and stability were no longer distant dreams, but attainable goals. The transition to a new chapter was becoming more tangible by the day. With Nathan now the owner of the apartment, the atmosphere in the space transformed. The tension that had once weighed it down was replaced by a spirit of camaraderie and mutual support. One morning, as Samantha brewed coffee in the kitchen, a gentle knock at the door broke her thoughts. She opened it to find Nathan standing there with a folder in hand. "Good morning, Samantha," he said, smiling. "I thought we could review some documents about the apartment if you're free." Samantha nodded, gesturing for him to come in. They sat at the kitchen table, going through the papers together. As they worked, the conversation naturally turned to their future plans and aspirations. "I've always dreamed of a place where I could truly feel at home," Nathan said. "This apartment feels perfect, especially with you still here. How are your classes going?" "They're going well," Samantha replied, her face lighting up. "It's challenging, but I enjoy it. I finally feel like I'm making progress towards something meaningful." "I'm sure you'll do amazing," Nathan said, admiration evident in his voice. Weeks turned into months, and Samantha and Nathan settled into a comfortable routine. They often shared dinners, chatted about their days, and strolled together through the quiet streets of Rosewood. The bond between them deepened with every passing moment, and Samantha began to realize that her feelings for Nathan went far beyond friendship. One Friday evening, after a particularly grueling week of classes and work, Nathan suggested they go out for dinner. He chose a charming little Italian restaurant on the corner, its warm lights and soft music creating an intimate atmosphere. "This place is lovely," Samantha said as they sat down. "Thank you for bringing me here." "It's my pleasure, Samantha. I wanted to do something special for you," Nathan replied, his smile making her heart flutter. The dinner was perfect. Conversation flowed easily, touching on their dreams, fears, and hopes for the future. Nathan listened to Samantha with an attentiveness she hadn't experienced in years. "You're an incredible woman, Samantha," Nathan said, his eyes locking onto hers. "Everything you've been through and the way you've handled it, it's inspiring." Samantha felt her chest fill with warmth, a mix of gratitude and something deeper. "Thank you, Nathan. I don't know what I would have done without your support. You've been my anchor through all of this." After dinner, they walked home under the glow of the moonlight. When Nathan reached for her hand, Samantha didn't pull away. The moment felt magical, as if the world around them faded, leaving only the promise of a future filled with hope and love. When they reached her apartment door, Nathan paused. "Samantha, there's something I need to tell you," he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "I've loved you since we were young. Those feelings never went away. These past few months, being with you, have been incredible. I need you to know that I'm here for you, not just as a friend, but as someone who loves you deeply. Samantha's eyes welled with tears of emotion. Nathan's words were like a soothing balm for her wounded soul. "Nathan, I don't know what to say," she began, her voice trembling. "I felt something special between us two. You've brought so much light and hope back into my life. I think I've started to love you as well." Nathan's face lit up with a tender smile. Slowly, he leaned in, sealing his confession with a soft, heartfelt kiss. It was a moment filled with promises, of healing, of happiness, and of a new beginning. In that instant, Samantha knew that her future had taken a brighter turn. Samantha had found a new beginning, one brimming with love and possibilities. Meanwhile, Caleb faced the aftermath of his choices. To move forward, Caleb, you need to confront your mistakes and understand why you made certain decisions, the therapist said calmly. This won't be easy, but it's essential for your recovery. Caleb nodded, the weight of his past actions pressing heavily on his shoulders. I've lost everything that mattered to me, he admitted. I don't even know where to start. The first step is forgiving yourself and realizing that you can change. Redemption is possible if you're willing to work for it, the therapist replied. Over time, Caleb began to notice small but significant changes in his life. Through the therapy sessions, he started identifying the destructive patterns in his behavior and slowly working to break them. The journey was long and fraught with challenges, but Caleb felt more determined than ever to become a better version of himself. Meanwhile, Samantha and Nathan's lives continued to flourish. The cafe and bookstore they co-managed, the Cozy Shelf, thrived, becoming a cherished gathering spot in Rosewood. Their relationship grew stronger each day, a testament to the love and partnership they had cultivated. Although Samantha was focused on her new life, she wasn't oblivious to Caleb's struggles. Through mutual acquaintances, she learned about his efforts to change and the steps he was taking to confront his past. One day, while Samantha was organizing books at the Cozy Shelf, a familiar figure appeared at the door. It was Caleb, his expression a mix of remorse and humility. "Samantha," he began, his voice trembling, "I know I'm the last person you want to see, but I needed to talk to you." Samantha was startled by his presence but stayed calm. "What do you need, Caleb?" she asked, her tone measured. "I've made so many mistakes," he said, his eyes downcast. "Unforgivable ones. But I'm working on myself, on becoming a better person. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything." A wave of emotions washed over Samantha. Though the pain of his betrayal lingered, she also saw the courage it took for Caleb to stand before her and own up to his mistakes. "I appreciate you saying that, Caleb," she replied sincerely. "I know it hasn't been easy for either of us. I hope you find the peace and path you're looking for." Caleb nodded, gratitude evident in his eyes. "Thank you, Samantha. I wish you all the best in your new life." As Caleb walked away, Samantha felt a profound sense of closure. The pain of her past with him was real, but she realized she no longer needed to carry it. That night, over a quiet dinner with Nathan, Samantha reflected on how far she had come. She had faced adversity head-on and emerged stronger, carving out a life filled with purpose and love. The journey hadn't been easy, but every step had brought her closer to where she needed to be. With her past firmly behind her, Samantha poured her energy into the present and future. The Cozy Shelf flourished, becoming a beloved haven for the community, a place where people could savor a cup of coffee and lose themselves in a good book. One afternoon, while organizing the bookshelves, Samantha's phone buzzed with an unexpected call. It was from the university where she had started her studies years ago. "Samantha, I'm thrilled to inform you that you've been selected for a scholarship," the administrator said. "It's based on your strong academic record and demonstrated perseverance over the years." Samantha was stunned. The opportunity to complete her business administration degree was something she had dreamed of but had thought life would never allow. Now it was within her grasp. "Nathan," she exclaimed that evening, sharing the news with a radiant smile. "I've been granted a scholarship." "That's incredible, Samantha," Nathan replied, pulling her into a hug. "I knew something amazing was coming your way. I'm so proud of you." With Nathan's unwavering support, Samantha began planning her return to university. She carefully organized her schedule to balance her studies with her responsibilities at the Cozy Shelf. Excitement bubbled within her as she thought about the future. For the first time in years, Samantha felt that her life was truly her own, and she couldn't wait to see where this new chapter would take her. Nathan volunteered to take on extra hours managing the cozy shelf so Samantha could focus on her studies. The first weeks of her university classes were demanding but deeply rewarding. Being surrounded by vibrant young students and inspirational professors gave Samantha a new sense of vitality. Each day brought fresh knowledge, and with every academic milestone she reached, her confidence blossomed. One afternoon, after an intense finance lecture, Samantha stopped by the campus cafe to review her notes. While sipping her coffee, she noticed an older woman seated nearby, engrossed in a book. Something about her seemed familiar. "Excuse me, are you Professor Harding?" Samantha asked, stepping closer. The woman looked up, her face lighting up with recognition. "Yes, that's me. Do we know each other?" "I'm Samantha. You were my professor years ago. I've always wanted to thank you for everything you taught me." Professor Harding's smile widened warmly. "Samantha, it's wonderful to see you. I'm so glad my lessons left a positive impact. How have you been?" Samantha briefly shared her journey, her decision to reopen the cozy shelf, her return to university, and her plans for the future. Professor Harding listened intently, nodding with approval. "You're a shining example of resilience and determination, Samantha," she said. "I'm incredibly proud of you." The professor's words resonated deeply. Samantha left their conversation feeling even more inspired to push forward, buoyed by the encouragement of someone she admired greatly. As she continued her studies, Samantha found a delicate but fulfilling balance between her academic life and her responsibilities at the shop. Each day, she applied lessons from her courses to improve the cozy shelf's operations. The experience not only enhanced her skills, but also reaffirmed her passion for her work. Nathan remained a steadfast source of encouragement. His words of support and unwavering love gave Samantha the strength to overcome even the most daunting challenges. One evening, after a particularly long day of studying and working, Samantha and Nathan sat together in their small private library, enjoying a quiet cup of tea. "Do you realize how far we've come?" Nathan asked, his voice filled with admiration. Samantha smiled, her gaze meeting his. "Yes, and it's all thanks to our effort and the love we share. I feel happier and more fulfilled than I ever imagined I could." Nathan reached for her hand. "And this is just the beginning, Sam. Together, I know we can achieve anything we set our minds to." Samantha's smile deepened as a sense of peace and satisfaction filled her. With Nathan by her side and her determination as her guide, she felt ready to embrace every opportunity that lay ahead. As the semester progressed, Samantha continued to excel in her studies. Her professors recognized her dedication and talent, while her classmates respected and admired her determination. At the same time, the cozy shelf flourished, drawing a loyal clientele who appreciated the warm atmosphere and carefully curated books. Nathan and Samantha had become beloved figures in Rosewood, known not just for their business acumen, but also for their kindness and generosity. Samantha realized she had finally found her purpose and place in the world. She had overcome adversity, rediscovered her dreams, and built a life filled with love and fulfillment. One evening, as the sun painted the sky with hues of orange and pink, Samantha and Nathan closed the doors of the cozy shelf after another successful day. The shop had become a vibrant community hub, a symbol of the new life they had built together. But this night was different. Nathan had something special planned. "Samantha, would you like to go for a walk?" he asked, a spark of excitement lighting up his eyes. Samantha, intrigued, nodded with a smile. They strolled hand in hand through the quiet streets as the cool night air wrapped around them. Nathan led her to a nearby park, a small, serene place where they often stopped to unwind after long days. "It's so beautiful here," Samantha said, taking a deep breath of the crisp air. "It really is," Nathan replied, stopping beneath a large oak tree that stood as a silent witness to countless seasons and stories. Samantha felt the moment shift, the air between them charged with anticipation. She couldn't have imagined how much her life was about to change once again. Nathan turned to Samantha, and she could see a mix of nervousness and determination in his expression. "Samantha, from the moment we reconnected, I knew there was something special between us. Our friendship has grown into something so much deeper and more meaningful. We've shared so much, overcome so much, and every day with you feels like a gift." Samantha's heart raced, a blend of excitement and anticipation filling the cool night air. "Nathan, she began, but before she could finish, Nathan reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. He knelt in front of her, opening the box to reveal a beautiful ring that glimmered under the park's dim lights. "Samantha," he said, his voice steady and full of emotion, "I love you more than words could ever express. You are my partner, my best friend, and I can't imagine my life without you. Will you marry me?" Tears filled Samantha's eyes as she gazed at Nathan, her heart overflowing with love and joy. Without hesitation, she nodded and responded in a trembling but firm voice, "Yes, Nathan. Yes, I will marry you." Nathan rose and embraced her tightly, and when they finally pulled apart, he gently slipped the ring onto her finger. It was a perfect moment, one they both knew they would cherish forever. News of their engagement spread quickly, and friends and family came together to celebrate. The cozy shelf was filled with laughter, heartfelt toasts, and warm congratulations as everyone raised a glass to Samantha and Nathan's love and future happiness. But the couple didn't stop there. Their engagement marked the beginning of an even greater journey. Inspired by the success of their beloved shop, they decided to expand their vision. They dreamed of creating more spaces where people could find comfort in books, coffee, and community, replicating the success of the cozy shelf in other locations. The couple poured their hearts into the project, dedicating countless hours to planning and execution. Nathan managed the negotiations and finances, while Samantha focused on the design, atmosphere, and book selection for each new store. Their teamwork and passion brought them closer to achieving their shared dreams. The grand opening of their second store was a momentous occasion. The community came out in full force to support them, and the overwhelming positive response filled Samantha and Nathan with gratitude. Every cheer and kind word reaffirmed their determination to keep moving forward. As their business flourished, so did their relationship. Together, they faced every challenge, celebrated every triumph, and weathered every obstacle with unwavering resilience and love. Their commitment extended beyond their work. It was the foundation of the life they were building together. One evening, as they closed the doors of their new store, Samantha looked at Nathan, her face radiant with satisfaction and love. "I can't believe everything we've accomplished together," she said, her voice brimming with emotion. Nathan smiled and replied, "And this is just the beginning, Samantha. Together, there's nothing we can't do." He leaned in to kiss her softly, and Samantha felt a rush of gratitude and happiness. Their love, tested by challenges and strengthened by shared purpose, was a testament to the power of resilience. Each day brought new opportunities, and Samantha was eager to seize them, confident that with Nathan by her side, anything was possible. As the stars sparkled above them, the couple walked hand in hand toward a bright and hopeful future, knowing their love and determination would guide them every step of the way. While Samantha and Nathan flourished, Caleb struggled with the weight of his past decisions. After Rebecca left him, his attempts to find solace led him into a downward spiral. The apartment, once a space of life and promise, now felt hollow and lifeless. Despite Caleb's efforts to rebuild, his choices left him isolated, and he faced the painful reality of the life he had destroyed. Samantha's absence was a constant reminder of the love and purpose he had let slip away. Caleb's nights were consumed by loneliness and regret. His struggles seeped into every aspect of his life, and his work performance began to deteriorate. Colleagues noticed the change in him, and as financial pressures mounted, Caleb found himself in an increasingly desperate situation. After weeks of battling his inner demons, Caleb made the difficult decision to seek professional help. He enrolled in an intensive therapy program, determined to confront his problems head-on and begin the grueling journey toward redemption. The first therapy sessions were excruciating. Caleb had to face his mistakes, acknowledge the destructive patterns in his behavior, and deal with the emotions he had long suppressed. His therapist, a patient and understanding man, guided him through this challenging process. "Caleb, the first step toward recovery is forgiveness," the therapist told him during an emotional session. You need to forgive yourself for the mistakes of your past and understand that you have the capacity to change. Tears filled Caleb's eyes as he replied, his voice trembling. I don't know if I can forgive myself for what I did to Samantha. She didn't deserve any of it. Forgiveness is a process, the therapist said gently. It won't happen overnight, but it's essential for your healing. You should also consider apologizing to those you've hurt. It's an important step on your journey. The therapist's words struck a chord with Caleb. He realized that apologizing to Samantha was not only a necessary part of his recovery, but also a way to prove to himself that he was truly changing. He didn't expect forgiveness from her, but he knew he needed to take this step for his own well-being. Meanwhile, Samantha and Nathan were moving forward with their lives and dreams. The expansion of the Cozy Shelf had been a tremendous success, and they were in the midst of planning a third location in a nearby city. Their relationship grew stronger every day, and their happiness was evident to everyone who knew them. One afternoon, as Samantha was organizing books in the shop, her phone buzzed unexpectedly. The caller ID showed Caleb's name. Samantha, it's Caleb, he began, his voice steady but tinged with regret. Can we talk? There's something important I need to say. Samantha hesitated for a moment, but she eventually agreed. She understood that this conversation was necessary to close a painful chapter in her life. They decided to meet in a neutral location, a quiet park where they could speak without interruptions. Caleb arrived first, visibly nervous. When Samantha approached, she could see the tension etched on his face. Thank you for meeting me, Caleb began, his voice trembling slightly. I know I'm the last person you'd want to hear from, but I needed to say something. I'm here, Caleb, Samantha replied, keeping her tone calm. Tell me what you need to say. Caleb took a deep breath, his eyes glistening with emotion. I've been going to therapy, trying to fix my life. I've recognized the mistakes I made, the ways I hurt you. I know I can't undo the past, but I want you to know how deeply sorry I am for everything. I'm so sorry for what I put you through. Tears welled in Caleb's eyes as he spoke, his voice heavy with sincerity. Samantha looked at him, her emotions a mixture of compassion and release. His words confirmed what she had long known. She had made the right choice in moving on. Thank you for coming to say this, Caleb, Samantha said sincerely. It was a difficult time for both of us, but I found the peace and happiness I needed. I hope you can find your own path to healing. Caleb nodded, relief evident in his expression. Thank you, Samantha. I hope someday you can find it in your heart to forgive me. Samantha said goodbye to Caleb, feeling a sense of closure she hadn't realized she needed. As she walked back to the Cozy Shelf, a calm clarity settled over her. That night, Samantha shared the experience with Nathan, who listened intently, offering his unwavering support. I'm proud of you, Sam, Nathan said, pulling her into a gentle hug. You've shown incredible strength in facing all of this. Thank you, Nathan, Samantha replied, her voice soft with gratitude. Having you by my side makes everything easier. In that moment, Samantha knew she had truly left the past behind. With Nathan's love and her own resilience, she was ready to continue building the beautiful life they had created together. I'm ready to move forward and embrace everything life has to offer, Samantha said, feeling more secure and loved than ever. As the sun dipped below the horizon, she and Nathan sat together in their cozy garden, dreaming about the future with hope and determination. They knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, their love and unwavering support for each other would guide them every step of the way. Time seemed to fly by, and Samantha and Nathan's lives continued to flourish. The Cozy Shelf had become a cherished hub in the community, and their plans for expansion were progressing smoothly. Their relationship grew stronger with each passing day, built on love, mutual respect, and a shared vision for the future. One day, while organizing a special event at their second store, Samantha and Nathan decided to invite friends and loyal customers to celebrate their success. They planned a vibrant evening filled with live music, poetry readings, and tastings of newly curated coffee blends. The store was beautifully decorated with soft string lights and fresh flowers, creating an inviting and festive atmosphere. As the event began, the store buzzed with energy. Guests mingled, laughed, and celebrated the occasion. Samantha and Nathan were at the heart of it all. warmly greeting everyone and ensuring their guests felt appreciated. Later that evening, Samantha stepped into the back of the store to retrieve some supplies. To her surprise, she found herself face to face with Caleb. The unexpected encounter left her momentarily speechless. "Samantha," Caleb said, visibly uneasy, "I didn't expect to see you here." "Neither did I, Caleb," she replied, keeping her composure. "What brings you here tonight?" Caleb hesitated before responding. "I heard about the event and wanted to check it out. I've heard so much about your store and how much it's grown. I thought I'd see for myself." Samantha nodded, still feeling a bit unsettled. Though she didn't mind Caleb being there, his unanticipated appearance threw her off guard. She worried he might bring negativity to an otherwise joyous night, a possibility she refused to let happen. "Well, I hope you enjoy the event," she said with measured politeness. "Nathan and I have worked really hard to make all of this possible." She glanced toward the crowd and noticed Nathan approaching, having picked up on the tension in her expression. Nathan stepped beside Samantha, taking her hand with quiet reassurance. "Hello, Caleb. How's it going?" he asked, his tone polite but firm. "Congratulations. It's impressive what the two of you have built here," Caleb said, his attempt at friendliness coming across as slightly strained. "Thank you," Nathan replied, a note of pride in his voice. "It's been an incredible journey, and we're very proud of what we've achieved together." The conversation petered out into an uncomfortable silence before Caleb excused himself to explore the store. Samantha and Nathan stayed close, both feeling the emotional residue of the encounter. "Are you okay?" Nathan asked, his concern evident as he looked at her. "Yes," Samantha replied with a small smile. "It was unexpected, but I'm fine. We've accomplished so much, and I won't let this affect us." She squeezed Nathan's hand with determination. The rest of the night unfolded without further interruptions, and the event was a resounding success. Samantha felt immense pride in what they had achieved. Despite the encounter with Caleb, she couldn't help but reflect on how far she had come, from heartbreak and uncertainty to a life filled with love and purpose. As the evening wound down and the last guests departed, Samantha and Nathan stepped out onto the small terrace behind the store. The cool night air and tranquil silence offered them a moment to pause and savor their success. "Today was incredible, despite the surprise," Samantha said, resting her head on Nathan's shoulder. "Yes, it was," Nathan agreed, kissing her gently on the forehead. "I'm so proud of you, Samantha. You've handled everything with such grace and strength." "Thank you, Nathan," Samantha replied, gazing up at the stars with a serene smile. "Having you by my side makes everything easier. No matter what happens, I know we can face it together." As they prepared for bed that night, Samantha felt a deep sense of peace. She had faced tremendous challenges, endured deep pain, and found true love. Despite the unexpected encounters and trials of her past, she knew her future with Nathan would be bright and full of happiness. With Nathan's arms around her, Samantha drifted to sleep with a peaceful smile, confident that no matter what the future held, they would always have each other. That certainty made each day worthwhile. While Samantha and Nathan reveled in the success of their event and the tranquility of their life together, Caleb found himself sinking into a dark place. Despite his efforts in therapy, the wounds of his past and the weight of his poor decisions continued to haunt him. His life felt shattered, and although he had sought professional help, the results were far from what he had hoped for. Therapy sessions forced Caleb to confront the demons within, but instead of bringing him peace, they left him feeling increasingly lost. Accepting responsibility for his actions proved far more difficult than he had imagined. Often, guilt and shame gave way to destructive thoughts, mixing with a growing resentment that he couldn't control. The encounter at the cozy shelf had been an unexpected blow. Seeing Samantha and Nathan together, happy, successful, and surrounded by love, ignited a spark of jealousy and anger in Caleb's heart. Despite his attempts to change, he couldn't shake the feeling that everything he had lost had become part of someone else's perfect life. This toxic mindset consumed him, and therapy, instead of soothing his turmoil, seemed to fuel a twisted need for revenge. If he couldn't find peace, he reasoned, at least he could ensure they didn't either. One afternoon, after an especially intense therapy session, Caleb left the office with his mind in chaos. He wandered aimlessly through the city, his thoughts spiraling back to Samantha and Nathan. It wasn't fair, he thought bitterly, that they could enjoy so much happiness while he suffered. In his disturbed state, Caleb began formulating a plan. If he couldn't reclaim what he had lost, he would make them feel a fraction of the pain he was enduring. The idea of revenge, though irrational, gave him a twisted sense of purpose. Determined to act, Caleb began closely monitoring Samantha and Nathan. He observed their movements, their routines, and their daily activities, waiting for the perfect moment to execute his plan. Even a fleeting moment of their discomfort felt like it would be enough to ease his torment. One day, while watching the store from a safe distance, Caleb saw Nathan leave alone. Sensing an opportunity, he decided to approach Samantha. He entered the cozy shelf, pretending to be just another customer, his mind racing with thoughts of how to provoke her. Samantha spotted him as he stepped inside. Though surprised, she remained calm and composed. "Caleb," she said evenly, "do you need something?" "I just wanted to see how you were," Caleb replied, his tone a strange mix of sincerity and malice. "Sometimes I wonder how things would have turned out if they'd gone differently." Samantha studied him carefully, trying to decipher his intentions. "Things are as they are, Caleb," she said firmly. "We've moved on, and I hope you can find the peace you're looking for too." Caleb smiled, a cold, hollow expression that didn't reach his eyes. "Yes, I hope so too. But sometimes finding peace means settling some old scores." Before Samantha could respond, Nathan returned to the store. His expression hardened the moment he saw Caleb. "What's going on here?" Nathan asked, stepping protectively beside Samantha. "Nothing," Caleb said with a mocking shrug, raising his hands as if to feign innocence. "Just having a conversation with Samantha." "I think it's best if you leave, Caleb," Nathan said firmly, his tone leaving no room for argument. "You have no business here." Caleb glared at Nathan, his eyes dark with resentment. But after a tense moment, he turned and walked out of the store. As Caleb disappeared into the distance, his thoughts grew darker. The encounter had only intensified his need for revenge. He knew his next move would need to be more calculated and effective. That night, Samantha and Nathan sat together, discussing the unsettling encounter. "I'm worried, Nathan," Samantha admitted, her voice tinged with unease. Nathan took her hand in his voice calm and reassuring. "Don't let him get to you. We've worked too hard and come too far to let this affect us. Whatever happens, we'll face it together." Samantha nodded, feeling bolstered by Nathan's support. Though the situation left her uneasy, she resolved not to let Caleb's bitterness derail the happiness they had built. Meanwhile, Caleb sank deeper into his darkness. His desire for revenge grew into an all-consuming obsession. Though a small part of him knew that vengeance wouldn't bring him the peace he craved, his resentment and despair twisted his mind. Logic and reason gave way to an insatiable need to cause pain. As Samantha and Nathan continued their journey of love and success, Caleb became a looming shadow, waiting for the right moment to strike. He saw their happiness as a personal affront, and his need to disrupt their lives became the only focus he had left. The sun rose brightly on what promised to be a perfect day, Samantha and Nathan's wedding day. The couple had spent months planning every detail, ensuring their union would be a reflection of their love and dedication. The ceremony was set in a picturesque garden, adorned with blooming flowers and ancient trees that whispered of timeless beauty. Close family and friends began to gather, their laughter and lively conversations filling the air with joy. In her room, Samantha stood before a mirror, her emotions a mix of nerves and excitement. Her wedding dress, simple yet elegant, perfectly complemented her natural beauty. Her best friend and maid of honor, Elena, stood beside her, a reassuring presence. "Samantha, you look stunning," Elena said, her smile warm. "This is your day. Enjoy every moment of it." Samantha nodded, taking a deep breath to calm her racing heart. "Thank you, Elena. I couldn't have made it to this moment without you." Meanwhile, Nathan, dressed in a classic suit, waited eagerly. His friends surrounded him, offering congratulations and words of encouragement. This was the moment he had dreamed of, a moment he would cherish forever. As the ceremony began, guests took their seats in the beautiful garden. White flowers and delicately arranged candles created an enchanting atmosphere. Soft music played as Samantha, arm in arm with her father, began her walk down the aisle. Her eyes met Nathan's, and in that instant, the world around them faded. It was as if they were the only two people in existence, united by a love that was deep and true. The officiant began to speak, his words filled with meaning and hope. Everything seemed perfect, until a murmur of surprise spread through the crowd. Caleb had arrived. Uninvited, he strode toward the altar with a defiant expression, drawing all eyes to him. "Stop this wedding!" Caleb shouted, his voice echoing through the garden. Samantha and Nathan exchanged startled glances, their faces filled with shock and concern. Caleb stood before them, his gaze fixed solely on Samantha. "Samantha, how can you marry him after everything we've been through?" Caleb demanded, his voice heavy with resentment. "Everyone here needs to know the truth about her." A heavy silence fell over the crowd, tension crackling in the air. Samantha felt a wave of emotions crash over her, but before she could speak, Nathan stepped forward, placing himself firmly between her and Caleb. "Caleb," Nathan said, his voice steady and controlled, "this is a day of love and celebration. You have no right to be here or to ruin this moment for us." Caleb let out a bitter laugh, his tone dripping with sarcasm. "Love? Celebration? Samantha, do you really think you can start fresh without facing what you've done?" Taking a deep breath, Samantha stepped forward, her voice calm yet resolute. "Caleb, I have faced my mistakes, and I've worked hard to move forward. Today isn't about the past, it's about the future. This is a day of love, not bitterness. I won't let you tarnish it." The crowd watched in stunned silence, captivated by Samantha's strength. Her words were firm, her resolve unshaken. Nathan stood beside her, his presence unwavering. "Samantha has nothing to prove to you, Caleb," he said. "It's time for you to leave." Elena, along with several other guests, stepped forward to escort Caleb away. Defeated and out of arguments, Caleb finally turned and walked out of the garden, his figure fading into the distance. The officiant, recovering from the interruption, resumed the ceremony. "True love is not just a feeling, it's a commitment to face any obstacle together. Samantha and Nathan, today we've witnessed the strength of your bond." As the vows were exchanged and the ceremony concluded, the garden erupted in applause and cheers. Samantha and Nathan shared their first kiss as husband and wife, a kiss that symbolized their triumph over adversity. The reception that followed was a joyous celebration of love and resilience. Guests danced, laughed, and toasted to the couple's future. As the night drew to a close, Samantha and Nathan stepped away to the garden's edge, savoring the tranquility of the moment. "Today was incredible despite everything," Samantha said, resting her head on Nathan's shoulder. "It was," Nathan agreed, his voice filled with pride. "I'm so proud of you, Samantha. You faced everything with grace and strength." "Thank you, Nathan," she replied, her gaze lifting to the stars. "No matter what happens, I know we'll face it together." As they gazed at the stars, Samantha felt a deep sense of peace. She knew that with Nathan by her side, she could face any challenge. Together, they had overcome so much, and their shared future was full of love, hope, and happiness. The wedding marked not just a new chapter for Samantha and Nathan, but also a fresh start for everyone who had witnessed their journey. As life moved forward with its mix of challenges and joys, the couple tackled it all with determination and mutual support. After their wedding, Samantha and Nathan threw themselves into both their personal lives and their growing business. The Cozy Shelf continued to thrive, becoming a cultural landmark in their community. Expansion plans moved ahead smoothly, with new stores opening in nearby towns. Each location reflected its unique surroundings while maintaining the warm, inviting charm that had made the original shop a success. With her degree in business administration finally completed, Samantha took on a more strategic role in managing their burgeoning chain of cafes and bookstores. Her passion for books and coffee remained central to every decision she made, and her intelligence and creativity earned her the respect of employees and customers alike. Nathan, always by her side, focused on the operational and financial aspects of the business. Together, they were an unbeatable team, complementing each other's strengths and supporting one another through every challenge. A year after their wedding, Samantha and Nathan decided the time was right to grow their family. When Samantha discovered she was pregnant, their lives were filled with a new kind of joy and anticipation. They eagerly prepared for their baby's arrival, decorating a nursery and cherishing every moment of this new chapter. The birth of their son, whom they named Noah, brought even more love and fulfillment into their lives. Parenthood became the center of their world, and Samantha and Nathan embraced it wholeheartedly. Every little milestone, Noah's first smile, his tiny laughs, his early steps, filled their home with happiness. As they balanced their family life and thriving business, Samantha and Nathan felt grateful for the path they had traveled. Their love, forged through trials and triumphs, had become the foundation of a beautiful life filled with purpose and promise. Meanwhile, Caleb continued his path toward redemption. Though the incident at Samantha and Nathan's wedding had marked a low point, it had also become a turning point. Caleb recognized that his need for revenge had stemmed from his own despair and unresolved pain. Determined to change, he redoubled his commitment to therapy. Over time, Caleb began to see life through a different lens. He reconnected with friends and family who supported his journey toward healing. Each small step forward became a testament to his determination to become a better person. Eventually, Caleb made the bold decision to move to a new city, leaving behind the memories that had haunted him. In his new environment, Caleb found a job he was passionate about and began rebuilding his life with honesty and respect for himself and others. Though he knew the past could never be erased, he learned to accept it and look toward the future with hope. Back in their hometown, Samantha and Nathan's life remained full of love and purpose. The cozy shelf continued to thrive as a cherished gathering spot, a testament to the couple's shared vision and dedication. The community respected and adored them, not just for their professional success, but for the warmth and kindness they extended to everyone around them. Samantha, Nathan, and Noah formed a united and joyful family. Their home was built on the values of love, perseverance, and mutual support. Samantha never forgot the challenges she had faced, but she saw them as the lessons that had guided her toward the life she now cherished. One sunny day, as they strolled through the park with Noah, Nathan stopped and looked at Samantha with a smile. Holding their son's tiny hand as he toddled along, he asked, "Do you realize everything we've accomplished together?" Samantha's face lit up with a radiant smile. "Yes, and I wouldn't change a single part of our journey," she replied. "Every difficult moment, every obstacle has brought us here, to this place of love and happiness." Nathan kissed her gently, and together they watched Noah explore the world around him with curiosity and wonder. They knew that no matter what the future held, they would face it together, their love and strength unshaken. Life, they understood, was a continuous journey filled with trials and triumphs. But Samantha and Nathan were ready for whatever came their way. They had found in each other not just a life partner, but a love that inspired and supported them every single day. As they moved forward, their lives stretched out like a horizon brimming with possibilities. Samantha and Nathan embraced the future with confidence, knowing they would always have one another to share and overcome everything life offered. Thank you for following this incredible journey of love, redemption, and resilience. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss our next chapter. Let us know your thoughts on Samantha, Nathan, and Caleb's story in the comments below. See you in the next video.